All right, everybody, I'd like to ask you to take your seats so that we can have our next presentation here in track one, top tier track, moderated and hosted by Maj Soueidan from geoinvesting.com. Next up, I'd like to introduce Maj's guest, Jerry Fleming from Altigen. With that, Maj, take it away.
Thank you, Bobby. Hey, Jerry, good to see you again.
You too, Maj. Appreciate it, as always.
I first discovered Altigen in 2015, maybe in February. I think that's when it was, and you were going through a turnaround then. We're going to get into that. Stock's had a wild ride, up and back down a little bit here, along with a lot of other cloud communication companies. You do a host of cloud communication stuff. We're going to get into that. But I really, you're going to go over some stuff in the slides here, but I really want to go over what we all want to hear as Altigen shareholders is, where are you with the new product, launches that you've been talking about, right?
Yep.
What does it mean financially to the company, and what are some of the catalysts to get that going? And I think that's we've always been in a situation, I own the stock of like, is it a matter of when, not if, right?
That is correct.
And I think you're tired of hearing us say that and ask you that question, but
right.
You're going to get into it and hopefully give us some confidence that it is coming.
I am sure that you are more tired of hearing me say that. So,
yeah.
We'll talk about that.
So let's get into it.
Okay. And thanks everybody for joining. So at the very high level, we'll talk about a few things, and Maj have some questions for me too about how we compete with some of the other vendors that you guys may have heard of generally in this space. So what I'm going to try to do up front here is make sure I differentiate our company and talk about how we're doing things differently, because this communication space is crowded and you better have a niche that you're going after if you want to be successful. That's how we view it. So we've been migrating the company from basically a PBX, selling a phone system, to today to a full customer experience solutions company. I'm going to explain what that means, and not only to the company and to our customers, but more importantly, our shareholders. So we'll start with our obligatory safe harbor statement. I'm not going to bore you guys to tears with reading this, but do want to make sure it's up there. And I'll just briefly touch on who is Altigen. So we just kind of have three segments here. We are a Microsoft Cloud Communication Solutions provider. It means everything we do is focused on Microsoft and used to leverage all the Microsoft infrastructure technologies like Windows Server and SQL Server and those sorts of things, and now it's Azure, with the advent of the cloud, and now it's also Microsoft AI, and I'll talk about that. So we're able to take advantage of a lot of things that Microsoft has developed and leverage it up with our solutions, and therefore deliver a solution to a Microsoft-centric customer, and there's a heck of a lot of them out there that were consistent with their business strategy as well. So part of that is having deep expertise in the Microsoft technology stack. And I'll talk about this a little bit later. Maj actually has a question for me. Why did we acquire Zach Consulting? I'll talk about that. That's why I acquired Zach Consulting. I need deep expertise in the Microsoft technology stack in order to do what we're doing. And as a small company, we have about 70 to 75 employees. It changes a little bit, but we actually have a global presence. So we're based here in the U.S., Silicon Valley and Salt Lake City. We have operations in the UK, and we also have development and support organizations in Asia Pacific. So in today's world, with the cloud, we can actually do that. Being a small company, we can support global customers because of the cloud. It's not working, Maj. Hold it right there. Okay. So this is, I'll talk some about the legacy business, and Maj will talk about the legacy business versus the new business. So this was Altigen. I've been at Altigen since, I just had my 16th anniversary here. So I'm 16 years into my 5-year plan. I'll let you guys know that, but the plan's a lot bigger too than I thought it was going to be when we started. So in that regard, we started out, I'm sorry here, I'm going to look at my own slide here so I can kind of stay on track here. We have a UCaaS solution. I had a PBX solution. Let me differentiate when I say PBX versus UCaaS. PBX is a phone system. The phone rings. That's what you get. UCaaS adds a bunch of additional things in, like instant messaging and web conferencing, desktop sharing, and that's the unified communications component of UCaaS. So we started out with a voice-only PBX, take and place phone calls, and we added on to that IVR, interactive voice response, bank by phone. And that was through our Fiserv channel. If you guys aren't familiar with Fiserv, it's the largest financial services company in the world, nearly $17 billion in revenue, and they sell Altigen solutions into their customer base. And we'll talk about that as well. So at that time, our primary business objectives were, imagine back when we started, the company started nearly 25 years ago, everything was very hardware centric. It was all on premise. We had to get away from the hardware, move to all software. We had to get off of on-prem and into the cloud. And we also have been working very hard to extend our interactive voice response capabilities to all of the Fiserv cores, and I'll talk about what that means. Let me just briefly mention what that means. Fiserv's also acquired their way up the ladder here. They acquired 13 different bank and credit union software companies. They call every one of those core systems that drives a bank or the business operations of a bank or credit union. We integrate to all those. In fact, we're the only company that I'm aware of, only communications company that integrates to every one of those cores. But anybody that invested in Altigen, including our friend Maj here, more than 3 years ago, this is the company you bought. This is what you had. That's all we were doing. So if you can, it should be working now. So let me fast forward then and talk about what it looks like today. So we have extended our PBX to a full UCaaS platform. And what does that mean? Voice and digital media. You can see the icons there. Not only do we now process phone calls, but also web chats, SMS, emails, video if somebody wants to do that. And we integrate it with a brand new platform, a brand new multi-tenant platform we have called MicroCap Cloud. MicroCap Cloud, okay. We also have the Fiserv IVR, and the Fiserv IVR is significant. I'll talk about this, but the Fiserv IVR is significant because we have 1,800 customers. Fiserv has 1,800 customers using the Altigen IVR. They have over 4,000 customers on their course, so we still have room to grow with this IVR. But that's a big number. But that's kind of where we started. And we're going to talk about, and Maj, as I know, has a question for me. We've added some very interesting capabilities into our IVR service, and we call it Secure SIP. And it is the most secure financial SIP service offering that we're aware of. So what this does, you guys can imagine. So I want to set the stage here. Customers are, let's say, scammers. I don't know how else to call them. Scammers calling into banks and credit unions all the time, trying to impersonate the client, right? They get their social security number somehow. They find information on the internet. They guess at their challenge questions. And it's not really that hard to get through and get access to that customer's account. And who is validating agents, and these agents working for the bank or credit union, they're not security experts. Most of them don't even have college degrees, right? So it's fooling those folks is not the hardest thing in the world to do. Our secure SIP service does two things. It, first of all, validates the device that the user is calling from and make sure that device is actually owned by them as recorded in the Fiserv database. Just give you an example. If you guys have ever logged in with your computer or your phone to Gmail or something like that, and it says, I want to make sure this is really you or even your bank, right? And it sends you a text message, right, with a code, and you've got to confirm you're you. That's how it's done on the data side. We do the same thing on the voice side, with that service. We also have just added in a voice biometric. So in addition to validating the device, I also validate that person's voice print using the new voice biometrics technology. So, and this is also based on a recording that the customer has to make and stored in a Fiserv database. So I compare that the caller's voice to the recorded voice. And between the two of those things, it's almost impossible now to spoof a client. And so you'll have a question for me, Maj. I won't get into the impact, but that's a very significant advancement that is just now rolling out.
What does IVR mean?
Interactive voice response,
okay.
Bank by phone. Yeah. So anybody's ever used bank by phone, touch tone, push one for your account balance, two to make a funds transfer, those sorts of things. And we also now support speech, so we can speak those same things. But that's what that means. And customers doing that all the time. Now, many of us would go through the web and go do that ourselves. It's amazing how many people don't do that, and they're still calling it. So the next thing that we're adding and we're working on at the moment is a chatbot and even ChatGPT. And I won't get into all the technical aspects of that, but that simply means before the customer ever needs to speak to an agent via chatbot, which can be, by the way, the chatbot supports both voice and web transactions. So in a conversational fashion, how can I help you? Customer talks about how they need some help, and I'm going to try to solve that issue before they ever need to talk to somebody. And that's a very significant piece that we're adding in because the average call going through to an agent, most banks and credit unions, look at that as costing $2.50 to $3 a call. When we put the automated technology in there, it's about 25 to 30 cents a call, right? So there's a nice ROI, and these folks take lots and lots of calls. So that is something that we're building as well. And then what we're adding, and this is also in progress at the moment, and I've talked a lot about this on our earnings calls, anybody that's been listening to our calls, and in prior investor presentations as well. We have a new enterprise customer engagement platform called Core Interact, and this has been developed by Altigen. And we also have a new white label omnichannel contact center. And omnichannel simply means, again, all the media types. So call me, email me, text me, web chat, and we'll handle all that for the heads down call center or contact center agents. So all of those capabilities this is what we've been working on for the last 3 years. One more slide here. And finally, and this is on the drawing board, I don't have this one yet, but we're going to conclude our let's say, our end-to-end solution with customer analytics. So after I've gone through this whole journey with the customer, we're going to feed all this information into the Microsoft AI engine so I can report now back to the customer on the transactions, make recommendations on how they can improve the process. And let's make sure that our chatbot technology is answering everything. Let's make sure my agents are scored properly and they're doing their job. So all of that, that is a TBD, but everything else is out now. This is what we've been working on for 3 years. And if anybody listened to Mark Gomes' presentation on his channel a little while back, he was talking about the investment we've made. So we've invested in the last 5 years $15 million in R&D, $7.5 million in R&D in the last 2 years alone to get this stuff out the door. So is it out the door yet? No, it's not. But, and I'll have to tell you guys, this is a major, major change from where we were from selling a phone system to this complete end-to-end solution. And it's been a tremendous amount of work. And I have to say, possibly, it's even a little bit bigger job than I thought. So it's taken a little bit longer. But it's right now we're at the point where we're getting ready to release all of these wonderful things. And they all are wonderful things. And customers like them because we've had betas going on and pilots going on. We know we're getting market acceptance. So we're very close now from going from essentially 100% R&D cost with very little return to start now to recoup that return and seeing that return in the terms of top line revenue as well as bottom line profitability. So I think I can pause here, Maj, and you can ask me any questions you like.
Great, and I want to be clear too. So these new things you're working on with the AI chatbot or function, as well as the customer analytics, that's not needed for your customers to want what you have here, right? That's just going to be add-ons as you move through, right? This isn't a requirement for you to launch.
It's additional revenue, it's additional capabilities and additional revenue opportunities for us.
All right. So you're doing you did 11 million in revenue in 2021, I guess, right? I think you were in
22.
Well, fiscal. Wait, you're yellow September. Yeah, 22, right? You got a fiscal year 22. That's right. Your end of September, right? So 22. And you've been kind of flatlining at this like 2.7 to 3 million revenue range for some time.
Right.
Your stock's 51 cents. You're selling market cap of 12.4 million right now.
Right.
So EV to sales of like 0.75. Yes, you got about 3 million cash, no debt.
Right.
So we're sitting here, and I think this when I first found Altigen, it was I think trading around 25 or so. And I talked to you in it was February of 15. You're like, yeah, we're around the corner, and it took you a little. Even then, it took you 2-3 years to get that going.
Right.
So I understand, how these things can be mistimed, right? But your stock had a nice run, it's like $253, and now you're back here, and combined with the market falling apart and maybe a little on the timing off on the product launches.
Mm-hmm.
So you say the product's ready. So start getting into the economics of this. First of all, timeline when you are going to start selling this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And given that you're 11 million in revenue here, what do any one of these things taking off mean for you in terms of revenue? And maybe you can go from the most realistic one. What's going to happen first down the line?
So I see we lost the signal here. I do have a slide on this that will maybe graphically depict this, but is there any way we can get that? A lot easier, but if not, I really do need that because we have 4 lines of business, and I do want to be clear to everybody, right? It's very difficult to, let's say, verbally go through this without having some visual if you're not in the business, so I can relate this. And so
I guess while he's queuing that up,
Well, you know what? She took out the thumb drive, but was it coming off the thumb drive?
wait,
Yep, I think so.
she took it off.
Right. Sorry, guys. So I'll go ahead and verbalize then while we're waiting here.
Well, let's get into, I mean, the Trust ID thing.
Right.
Trust ID is pretty interesting, product. It's simple to understand. What that's a pretty interesting product here, right? Should we start with that?
Yep, sure. Well, let me just start. Yeah, let me answer a little more broadly.
Okay.
We did in the last 12 months, we did about $3.5 million in revenue with Fiserv. And this Trust ID solution Maj is talking about, that's what I call secure SIP. So it's got Trust ID as the device verification component. Voice biometrics is that voice print technology, which will be added into that, is now added. We have our first customer, is now added into that solution. Okay, great. I can advance here. That should be good.
So SIP is like the connection, right? SIP is to be able to make a phone call or,
yes,
right?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, SIP is simply a communication service, right? So in the old days, they called it PSTN when we all had landlines at home. But SIP is simply how it's done. The voice is transported over the internet today, and it's called SIP. So we picked Fiserv here. That's in the kind of the orange representation. And so with Fiserv, because Fiserv is not only launching the new secure SIP service, we're also adding in these chat capabilities that I mentioned and AI capabilities. They're also launching our new UCaaS platform, and they're launching our new CCaaS platform. So Fiserv themselves, right, I expect Fiserv over the next several years, and I can't give you an exact timeline because they're the drivers, right? We sell exclusively through Fiserv and through their channel, so they drive it. But I expect anywhere between 75 to 100% growth in the Fiserv business going forward because of these new capabilities. And I know you have a question, so I'm just going to address it right here. How do you monetize this new SIP service that you're talking about, Jerry? So I'll ask the question for you. That's okay. So it's quite interesting, guys. So Fiserv sells their bank by phone application to the customer by the minute. Okay, so minutes of usage. So we have just agreed with Fiserv on some new pricing where the capabilities I just mentioned will be sold for 12 cents a minute. Now, let me put this in perspective. There are 6 million minutes going through the Fiserv IVRs. Okay, that's quite a bit, right? That's our Altigen IVRs. So that's 6 million minutes times 12 cents a minute. And by the way, the average call is right now almost 90 seconds. It'll get a little longer with some of the AI capabilities. But if I just use that at the moment, if I got all the customers, and I'm not saying we will, that's $720,000 a month, right? So that's pretty significant, or $8.5 million a year, just on that one service. Now, yes, we will get all the customers. No, but Fiserv, they're the 50-80 rule. 50% of their customers are the biggest ones, right? They do 80% of the business with us. So I don't have to get them all. Just getting that 50, the largest ones, those who we're targeting first, right? And we'll get 80% of what I talked about. In addition, I mentioned a chat GPT. That's a future. We're just starting on that. I'll say that adds another $250,000 a month to the potential. So I can say that potential is probably $10 million a year on the current 1,800 IVRs that we have, which are always growing because Fiserv has another 2,000 customers yet to be deployed on the Altigen IVR.
Do you think when they turn that switch on, it moves fast? Is that?
I wish I could say that. You know how Fiserv, they move at their own pace. So one of the challenges we've had with Fiserv today is they wrap our solutions into their stuff. So they go sell a $10, $15, $20 million project to a customer. We're part of that. Good news is there's probably not much competition for us because it's included. Bad news is I've got to wait for their darn systems to be deployed. This is different. This can be deployed at any customer right now as soon as it's ready.
So let's move on to your maybe your next opportunity.
Sure. Yeah, let me talk about let me start at the far right then. This is our legacy business. And our legacy business, it is PBX moving to UCaaS, guys. I wouldn't call it tremendously exciting. I'm not looking for big growth. 5 to 10% a year from that business. And that's from migrating my remaining on-premise customers onto the new UCaaS platform. And that's our cash cow, and I'm viewing it as such. I'm not looking to go engage every major UCaaS competitor. We're going to use this as our cash cow. We're going to leverage the Altigen customers and the Fiserv customers.
Yeah, once you do that, you can upsell them right to other stuff, right? Once they're on the cloud.
Yes, they could be, but these are mostly SMBs,
Okay.
kind of one and done. But that's fine. They're a cash cow. And then we have our ZAC business. ZAC is also somewhat a cash cow. We didn't acquire ZAC Consulting for their to triple their services business. We acquired ZAC Consulting to do what they do, add much needed technical expertise to Altigen, and support our business in the cloud, because all of the enterprise customers we're targeting want our solutions, our software integrated with their in-house software systems like CRM. Okay, so that's what that's for. And so they're supporting that, and they will support it. Then I'll call it our big home run opportunity at well over 100% growth is Teams. And you see that pretty small right now. It's about $1.5 million last 12 months. But this is where our new solutions, the Core Rack solution and the Front Stage solutions have yet to be released. We have a handful of customers on Core Rack, but very little revenue. And so that's why going forward, it's a whole different story. We only had pretty much part of the Fiserv pillar, and we have the Altigen legacy pillar, but not the other two.
So in terms, getting the Teams opportunity going, is that a matter of having more resellers come on that are capable of selling that product, understanding it? You're maybe getting that a little bit.
Sure. Well, we have about 75 resellers. It is a function of that. And we actually have some very large resellers that actually we've signed, but I haven't been able to publicly announce yet. So they are coming on. It's the primary function, Maj, is getting the products out the door. When they're out the door, we'll sell them. We've got lots of pilots. We have lots of opportunities. I need the products available.
Great. So, I mean, I guess as soon as that happens, let us know, because we're waiting for that. But I mean, so it's let's talk about, so we only have a few minutes here. The stock has come down a lot, and what are some maximization of shareholder things you can take here, initiatives you can take a look at? I mean, are you starting to do that now? Have you talked to the board? You talked about it on the last call. Maybe you would do that.
Yeah, I think let's say there are two key considerations here, right? While we're investing heavily, in these solutions, and we'll start investing more heavily in sales when the products are fully ready. And I think, like I said, right now we're at initial launch phase. When they're fully ready, we'll do that. But we have a lot of duplication of effort that we will consolidate. So we'll be able to save money on cloud, our various cloud services. We're going with a new SIP trunk provider that saves us quite a bit. And when I say quite a bit of money, I'm talking about anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 a month in each one of these initiatives. So there's about a good $500,000 to potentially, and also some personnel, $1 million in annual savings that we will achieve as we get these solutions consolidated. But in the meantime, I think your primary question is, are you guys just going to sit there and watch this 50-cent stock, right? And by the way, you didn't mention I'm also the largest shareholder. So I don't like a 50-cent stock either, guys. And certainly I want to maximize that stock, and we maximize it not by accounting tricks, but we maximize it through business performance. However, if we feel like we're performing ahead of where the market gives us credit for, then again, this is my orientation. The board has to approve it, but I'm absolutely interested in doing a stock buyback and pulling shares out of the market so that we all benefit when we come, when Altigen comes storming out of the gate here.
And so in terms of profitability, you're kind of around it. You make a penny, you lose a penny. What are some things you can do to, as you're waiting for this to happen, this catalyst? Are there things you can do to start taking some costs out of the business?
Well, I think those are the things I mentioned. I will tell you the profitability. If we had better timing, I invested $7.5 million expecting some more revenue. Okay, so that's the single biggest issue is timing, Maj. And so to go much beyond those things I already mentioned, we'll then have more of a delay effect on the business. So I think at the moment we're saying, guys, we think we're darn close here. We might lose a little bit, short term, because it would be foolish to take headcount out that I need. But but we're not. If we've made a mistake, we'll cut back.
It might even be to be more aggressive, right? I mean,
we'll get. I guarantee we'll get more aggressive when we can prove it.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Cool. So, any questions before we wrap it up here? We got 3 minutes.
No, it does not. It's just purely R&D.
And well, I guess while we're on it, are there any other? I mean, have you done anything to the staffing to upgrade the staffing at all, or on your software side to get little,
Yes. Yeah, I guess we have just a quick minute here. So we actually, I know a lot of folks are a little disappointed in our performance with our core interact development. We actually have realigned our development organization. One of the ZACT technical leaders is now running the development side for us, all of Altigen development, by the way, and that's one of the benefits we've gotten from ZACT. So we will see improvements on that side, just tightening up and doing a better job for sure.
thank you, Jerry. This is awesome.
Thank you, Maj.
And
Appreciate it.
sitting through it.
And thank you, everybody. Appreciate you sitting through this as well.
Thank you.